witnessed a game where the kids would kick the ball and the water would be everywhere. Last year I went down and I watched the game after the work was done and the field was beautiful. Apparently they've uncovered some more issues and it was part of the project that was not complete. So Tabitha can...
My understanding is that the drainage of the field is, the new work that was done is draining the field.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I've
So
gone
it's
down.
working fine.
I've gone down and watched the soccer game, and the game I saw, you know, it was so much different than the games a year ago when the kids would kick the ball and water would be everywhere. You know, the field looked like it was reasonably dry, and the kids. I've actually had kids come up and say thank you. You're on the spot.
In comparison to past years, the field is a lot better, but the end, towards the elementary end, the drainage pipes stop at the catch basin. It was decided, I don't know who decided it, that they wouldn't drill the hole that was needed for it to drain on that side. So that's the only problem that we have. Donnie Hanson gave us a quote of $4,045, and I was hoping that the town could split it with the school for 50-50. Because it has to go through the road. That's where it stops. That's my understanding. Donnie would have to come back down and go through it again just to make sure the layout of that piping. But he did say it stops right at the catch basin. It needs to be tied into it so they'll drain out towards the elementary end out behind the school.
It goes to the catch basin but not into the
Right.
catch basin.
It's completely flat wall. And it needs a hole to go through there. Apparently they didn't do that.
I thought they turned into it.
No, it didn't tie into it. They decided not to for whatever reason. I don't know.
And that's from the previous drainage project. Not as a result of the work that was just done. It
No.
was discovered
Yes.
during
Yeah.
the work that was just done. So how long ago was that done and who was the contractor?
They brought it down and they brought it to my attention. When they bid on the project, they were supposed to be tying into the existing drainage system. And they showed it to me, and I could not believe it. The pipe comes up, it comes right up into the manhole, and that's where it stops. It does not.
Who was the contractor? Somebody must know.
I think that must have been years ago when we first did it.
There was a previous system that was
That was
done.
there.
And then I remember stories of this last drainage project, and they opened up those old pipes, and there was something about them that was not correctly done. So, I mean, those guys, this is like strike two for them, whoever they were. The field never really drained as a result of what they did, and this new project actually
Seems to be doing a
seems
good
to be
job.
good because the two pipes that drain out into the little water course by the tot lot, there's always water coming out of
That
that.
end is fine. It's the opposite end. It's not draining on that side. And there's a lot of stuff that comes down behind the vegetables on that end.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
when I used to play years and years ago, you'd jump up the brown water and go tape hanging
But
on
it
the
can only
corner.
handle so much.
And it's
It's
got
probably
another-
travel.
I think we should look into whoever the contractor was.
Right.
You must have it in your records down there somewhere.
Yeah, that should have been,
And we need to contact them and find out exactly what the story is before we talk about putting more money into the
Right.
project. This may be something they weren't aware of and
So
would
we wanted to
correct.
get it taken care of before the next season.
well, that's a
We
school.
don't want any more delayed games or postponed games.
I understand
Right, oh, yeah.
that, Tabitha,
Shouldn't-
but
shouldn't be.
$2,000 is a lot of money. Well, $4,000 is
Right.
even more.
Well, we've already dumped 100 grand. It might as well work right. That's
Well,
not-
I understand that, but, you know,
However-
how much is in your surplus? I mean, I heard at the school budget meeting, we picked up another $195,000 after we okayed the budget up here and after it went down to the school. Well, that's what it came back again, another $18,000 to fresh lid, and it came all out of the surplus that you guys got. So if you've got that kind of money, $4,000 is a drop in the bucket.
We had that, yes, to make it so the tax
But-
would have more, but what we have
but
left
what I
over, we
understood
have to
was-
have in there for.
What I understood was that the $195,000 was for repairs, period. And I had no idea what all that extra money was even for.
We put 50,000 in our contingency fund for maintenance of the school.
Okay, so we're down to $125,000 left.
Could the 4,000 come out of that contingency fund?
Well, we're hoping to go 50-50. It's on the town road, it is town property.
Well, I
Yeah, but
understand that, but, you know, you had a contractor that did a job. If there's an error or an omission, you really should be addressing that, rather than just saying,
From my
well, we'll take
understanding,
some more
I
money
wasn't on
out.
the committee for the Field of Greens, Barbara Saluda was. My understanding on that was it was told not to further the work on that end because it's town property.
Well, my own personal feeling is,
What
Well,
is town
And
property,
then
the road?
What needs to go under the road, yeah, it was town property, they have to dig up the road.
So they
Yeah,
went
but-
that
Well,
far,
that's not a big
but they
deal.
just never hooked it up into
Right.
the,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's bizarre.
But that doesn't make sense to me. I think we need to contact the
The
contractor.
other thing is, you know, they did have a cost overrun of $12,000 in the equipment, the select board did agree to split it. So, I mean, we've already have
Put in an additional
additional funds into
6,000.
into this project.
yeah. Well, I'm just kind of curious about what went on at the school board meeting with the general public and all the funds and the stuff that's taken out of surplus above and beyond what the selectmen at the table agreed on what the budget was set at the third time. And it was for repairs or to fix this or to fix that. And that's a large sum of money to take down surplus after we had given the okay on the third budget. Well, this will do it right here. Well, I can't do anything like that or act that way in anybody's home doing contract work on my own, I'd be fired. So I'm just concerned on how that came around to the way that it come around and what the money is actually gonna be used for. 50,000 is in contingent, there's $145,000 still somewhere else. What's that all gonna be used for? I'm very curious on that. So what's got me is, I feel like we talked pretty decent in the beginning, we got to a certain point, and then they just done what they wanted. So why did we have to agree on what the budget should have been? They kind of set the agenda at the
That
end
happened
of
with our budget too.
Well, no, well, I ain't saying that ain't right.
We're
No, I'm not saying that ain't right.
So,
We're getting off track. Let's get back on to the 4,000 for
Okay.
the drainage. There was a contractor, unknown name at this time. We need to contact the contractor
Mhm.
and find out what happened and what's
Right.
going on. If there was an overrun of 12,000 and the town split that with the school, 6,000, 6,000, that was fine. But now there appears to be another problem. We need to find out why there's a problem. Why would they stop by saying, well, that's town property? A town road can be dug up, it's done all the time to replace culverts.
Yeah.
That doesn't even seem reasonable. And we shouldn't be on
Right.
Tabitha's case. I mean,
Right.
she's just bringing the news.
She's a
Um,
messenger.
I have no problem with the 50/50 arrangement, although as a group that spent taxpayers' dollars for a project, I would go after that contractor and find out, you went that far, why did you not hook it up? And
Told
you
not
paid
to,
for
is
it.
my understanding.
Well,
Well, I think, Tabitha, at this point, we need to, number one, find out who it is, and number two, talk to that person. I mean, you're being told stuff, now you're telling us we're like third hand here. Let's go back, find out what exactly the issues are, and as I say, going under a road would not be an excuse, because that's done all the time.
Right.
To
might not be
replace
an
a
excuse for
culvert.
this board, but when there's other players involved, who knows what happens?
Well, we do it all the time for culverts,
Oh,
so.
I know, but I just want to make sure this is on the agenda for our next meeting and that something, a decision is made.
will you come back next
Yeah.
meeting, please?
Yeah,
Then?
we need
Okay,
to.
yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll
Good.
get whatever answers I can get.
I would suggest in the meantime that you and John get together with whoever this contractor is and get better information.
Yeah, I had called Donnie to ask him his story, and he said he couldn't remember all of it. All he knew is that it stopped. He was told not to further it. He gave us a quote of what it cost, and that was that.
That doesn't make sense. That absolutely doesn't make sense. But that's not, I mean, that's not your issue.
No.
Okay.
Maybe it was because of the already additional quote. I don't know.
Overrun or.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving along here.
Okay. Washington County Caucus, the elect representative to the Budget Advisory Committee. I believe, Sarah, you were on this last year.
Would you like to
someone else would like to do that, you by all means do so.
Actually, we feel that continuity is important, and since you got 1 year under your belt, that you should just,
And you did a good job.
yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
As long as there's no more increases.
I'm the only one on there that thinks we need some reserves and to start saving money on things we need. That we
Good.
know we're gonna have
So
to
you
buy,
need to be
so.
aware.
But, meaning town or county?
Downtown.
County,
County too?
County.
Yeah,
everything.
well, yeah.
When you have the means to plan ahead, I think you gotta do so.
Do we have to have a motion to,
I'm outnumbered anyway, so it
basically,
doesn't matter.
I make a motion that Sarah continue in her capacity as the select board representative to the Washington County Caucus for the 2014 Budget Advisory Committee,
with her consent? We're not gonna
District 2.
railroad her
I think
into
when
it.
I was elected, it was for 3 years.
Well,
So
they
we're
got
gonna
two
do it
positions
again.
they have two positions that are open. One's for 3 year, one's for 1 year, so you're probably still on it.
They're holding two positions there.
And
No.
Because other people got done, so I
Right.
don't know,
Yeah,
I
I
need to
think
be
each-
reelected or whatever we're doing.
We're gonna do it, I'm sure.
Make sure they don't think I'm taking up 2 spaces.
Right.
there.
Okay,
I think each
Yeah,
member,
we got more polls.
I'll contact them.
town can only have one representative. I don't believe we could have two.
But other people in our district, they it's on. I might already be on the books.
All right, we will make a motion pending that,
Pending.
you know,
Yes.
whatever you on that,
Yes.
you want to continue, okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, confined space equipment.
The town of Lubec, we had a safety audit. We had a lady come up from MMA, and she went through our facilities. She went through the wastewater plant, she went through the recycling, and she went through public works. She was quite pleased with what we were doing. One of the weaknesses that she spotted was some of our documentation, and some of our policies weren't up to date. Public works, recycling, and wastewater treatment, we do meet on a weekly basis. We've started looking at different policies. We've got one from OSHA. We've got some bloodborne pathogens policies. We've got some from MMA. And we're looking to put them together and kind of customize them to our operations. Another thing that they noted was we have people going down into the manholes, and we don't have a mechanical means of getting them out. When you go around and you look at the equipment's expensive. We applied for a grant, a safety grant from MMA. It will pay up to 2/3 the cost of this equipment, up to a total of not exceeding $1,975.87. I went out and I did some research online as to what it would cost for a tripod and a harness and a gas detector. I found a company called Major Safety. They're out of Virginia. Their pricing for all 3 of these units is $2,485. Looking at some of the other prices, these guys are much lower than anybody else. I had some local people come in, and they were quoting me more than that $2,400 just for the tripod. And these guys are gonna, we're gonna have the tripod. It's a Miller tripod rescue and retrieval system. It's also gonna have a 4-gas meter. It's gonna detect levels of oxygen, lower level explosive gas, carbon monoxide, and sulfide. And these are some of the common gases there that could